What is going on, everybody? This is a breaking news update. Alabama football on YouTube. Trey Yannity, Andrew Bone coming to you today with some breaking news. An outside linebacker, Yhonzae Pierre, has committed with the Crimson Tide. Now, Alabama, of course, has dominated the outside linebacker position in recruiting over these past few years. Yhonzae Pierre, the first outside linebacker to commit in this class of 2023. Bone, your first thoughts here as the Crimson Tide continue to roll on the defensive side of the ball in this 2023 class.
Finally, another commitment. Hey, I know Alabama fans have been itching for another commitment to jump on board. Now, it's currently sitting with three total commitments, all on the defensive side of the ball, with two defensive backs with Elliott Washington and Jahil Hurley, and now in-state defensive end, outside linebacker. You can call him just about any defensive type of player in Yhonzae Pierre. And this is a guy who moves around, all over the defensive front. They line him up on the edge. They'll move him to the inside. He's a very quick, very aggressive football player. And I know people probably are going to think, oh, that you're being a little overzealous here, but he reminds me a lot of Rashaan Evans coming out of high school. I mean, this is, Rashaan, you go back and watch Rashaan's high school film when he was at Auburn High School. I mean, they moved him all up and down the defensive line, very seldom played linebacker, rushed off the edge. I mean, sometimes they'd even line him up at defensive tackle. I mean, this is how athletic and good Rashaan was coming out of high school. And this, kind of reminds me of Yhonzae Pierre. I mean, you can line him up just about anywhere. He's, very quick, very instinctive, and definitely a hard hitter. I think he's got a chance to really blossom into an outstanding football player at Alabama. Recruited as an outside linebacker, potentially grow into that jack linebacker position. I don't see him growing into a defensive lineman. I don't think he's going to be a defensive end or a defensive tackle in Tuscaloosa. I mean, this is a 225 pound defensive athlete, but I certainly think that this was a guy that Alabama targeted early on. They really liked him a lot, especially when he participated in camp last summer. When I think he received his offer from Alabama before camp, but as Alabama fans who follow our show know, you still got to come to camp. You still got to show out. And he went to camp last summer, had a great performance. Then Alabama evaluated him throughout the season. Really liked him a lot. Came in for junior day, and really ever since that junior day visit, Alabama's been making a really big push for him, hoping to get him on board. Pierre had a top 8, but we always felt like, really ever since that junior day trip in early March, that it was Alabama and then everybody else. It was just kind of a matter of time of when he was going to make that decision. So he went ahead, made a commitment on Thursday morning to Alabama. So I give the Alabama coaching staff a lot of credit. Charles Kelly led his recruiting process, and gets another outstanding defensive recruit for the Alabama recruiting class.
Yeah, no doubt. And like you said, you just love the versatility here with Pierre, 4-star, listed there as a weak side defensive end. But, I could see them trying some things as he gets into the program here. No, Alabama had interest in Pierre for quite some time. But for Yhonzae, what was the ultimate factor that made him sign up with the Crimson Tide? And guys, as we continue on in this video, please hit that like button and get in the comment section. I know you guys are excited for another commitment in this 2023 class. So let us know what you think, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Help our page grow. But for Yhonzae, what was ultimately those factors that led him to make this decision?
Well, I think it's easy. I mean, the development, at the linebacker position. He's seen just so many top guys come into Alabama throughout the last several years, and had a tremendous amount of successes. His older cousin Courtney Upshaw also had a tremendous career in Tuscaloosa. So I'm sure watching him growing up, his love for Alabama started all the way back then. So this is a guy who has a good connection with the coaching staff. Really likes the program overall. Been there several times, and just believes that they're going to put him in the best position to succeed and have a lot of success in the future. So it's an easy decision for him going to Alabama, but and I'm sure Alabama coaches are really excited. Now you have 3 commitments on board, and the biggest question now is who's going to be next.
No doubt about it. I know all our viewers today are constantly wondering who is next, but we have Pierre today, and we talk about the first commitment at defensive end, or linebacker, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call it nowadays. What does Alabama do with this group moving forward? How many more guys do we see them add, and what's going to be the timing with maybe the next linebacker commitment?
Yeah, you look at Alabama's class last year. I mean, they signed an outstanding group. I mean, it was three rivals 100 linebackers, edge rushers, whatever you want to call them: Jahai Campbell, Jeremiah Alexander, Sean Murphy. Yeah, they're still going after some edge guys. Quay Russo out of Montgomery, remains a top target. Even he's visited Georgia 3 or 4 times, visited Alabama a few times. I think those are going to be kind of the top two schools in his recruitment. All the way really until the end. Along with Auburn, it's probably kind of a 3-team race with Quay until he makes that decision, which I don't expect is going to happen until probably December when that early signing period comes. Keon Keeley, another outstanding prospect out of Florida, currently committed to Notre Dame, but has visited Alabama this year and plans on getting back to Tuscaloosa sometime in June. So those are some of the top outside linebacker edge rushers that Alabama's going after. Obviously, there's several other guys that are out there that they are still recruiting that they're going to bring on campus for visits. There's a lot of linebackers that Alabama is going after that they've brought on for unofficial visits so far. They're talking to on a daily basis, but a lot of these guys are kind of a mix between outside and inside guys. I don't think they're 100% certain on some of the guys just yet in terms of what position they're going to play. That's why they want to get all these guys back on campus again this summer, work them out, and really make that that decision as to who they're really going to target at outside linebacker, at inside linebacker. Even though there's a lot of guys they're targeting, a lot of them are kind of just in that general linebacker group. You want to really try to make a decision on, all right, this is a definite outside guy. This is a definite inside guy. Sometimes you may not even know that until the guys get on campus and start working out. You might even move them. They may start out their career at outside linebacker, then move to inside. After a couple years in Tuscaloosa. So we'll just have to wait and see how that all unfolds. But I certainly think that this is a big pickup for Alabama and Yhonzae Pierre. Certainly some top kids that they're still going after, that they still have a chance to land. Like Russo, like Keon Keeley, and like several others.
Yeah, it'd be great to get at least a couple of those guys in this class. And you just look at the depth already with the current roster. You got guys like Dallas Turner backing up Will Anderson, Jeremiah Alexander next in line there. You love the depth that Alabama is building at this outside linebacker group. And after last season, I don't think you can have too much depth, at that position. So we talk about Alabama's recruiting class. We had our big board last week, guys. Go check that out on YouTube, the big board focusing in on this linebacker position here. And yesterday, if you guys didn't check it out, we had our big board on the defensive back group as well. So be sure to go watch those videos. And, we talk about this 2023 class in general. Like you said, Alabama fans always wanted to know who is next. So now Pierre has committed with the Crimson Tide. Who do you see making the commitment next?
Well, I think you got to keep looking at a few top guys that are in state, especially guys that are going to be visiting Alabama this weekend. Raquez McElderry, who is committed to Georgia, but he's going to be making his third trip of the spring to Alabama here this weekend for the A-Day game. Could he potentially go ahead and reopen his recruitment or potentially flip? We're going to be watching him pretty closely. Wilkin Formby, local lineman here in Tuscaloosa at Northridge High School. He hasn't said he's going to make a decision anytime soon, but this is going to be his third or fourth trip over to Alabama's campus this spring for the A-Day game. So could he potentially go ahead and make that decision? He has taken some other visits here lately, including one to Tennessee and one to Auburn. So maybe he's seen some things, and maybe he might be ready to go ahead and make that commitment. So we'll keep an eye on him. One out-of-state kid that I'm going to be watching pretty closely this weekend is Makari Vickers, Rivals 100 defensive back out of Tallahassee, played the same high school as Alabama sophomore DB Terrion Arnold. He's going to be back in Tuscaloosa this weekend. He's trip to Alabama several times, so this is going to be nothing new to him. He's seen everything. He knows everybody on campus, knows the coaching staff well. So could we potentially see Makari Vickers go ahead and jump on board, especially with 2 defensive back commitments on Alabama's board right now? I think that's going to put a little bit of pressure on some of these other defensive back targets who are out there. We might go ahead and see Macari make a decision this weekend. So those are some guys that I'm going to be paying close attention to this weekend in terms of potential commitments.
Yeah, going to be a fun weekend, day, of course, this Saturday. So, guys, be sure to stay on the YouTube page because we're going to have all kinds of coverage at A-Day, covering the recruiting side of it as well. A lot of big visits, as you mentioned. Bone, as we wrap it up here, another commitment for Alabama, this one at outside linebacker. Your final thoughts on Yhonzae Pierre and what this means for the 2023 class?
Well, it's a great commitment. I mean, this is a great player in Alabama. There's probably a lot of guys who are out there that have wanted to jump on board with Alabama early in the spring, but Alabama's being a little bit more patient this year. Making sure they're making the right choices as far as who they're going after, and really doing some great evaluating throughout the process. So even though it's a little slow on the commitment front, it's certainly going to pick up over the next couple months, and I think. Like I said, we might see a few more happen after this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely going to pick up here, guys. So if you want to be first in line, go follow Andrew on Twitter at AndrewJBone. Follow Bama Insider on Twitter at Bama Insider, and click that bell on our YouTube page so you can be notified immediately when these commitments start to come in and everything else breaking in the world of Alabama football. For Andrew Bone, my name is Trey Yannity. Yhonzae Pierre, the pride of Eufaula, Alabama, is the next commitment in this 2023 Alabama football class. Have a great day, everybody. Roll Tide.